Okay, did that do anything? Can you hear me now? You can hear me now. Okay, you can say that, and please say it in Jason. Please say it in the actual chat. Yes, I'm fixed. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Yay! All right. So I'm assuming that people have been, if there's anyone even here. Hi, Sarah. Hi, how are you doing? Hi. So we're drawing this little birdie today. I'm gonna get going because I've wasted enough time figuring this out. So we're drawing this little guy. We're actually drawing him smaller than that. I've got my line work here. So I'm stressed out now. That was a lot. Um, cool, excellent. Um, so a little bit first about what I've got going on here. Obviously for supplies, we've got our pencils that was in the handout. I use or my eraser. I use this little guy. It's a Tombow. Great eraser. Definitely recommend picking one of those up if you don't have it. A kneaded eraser. Every artist should have one of these. Um, and the slice tool, which is a pretty where'd it go? A pretty necessary tool when working on this surface. It's like a craft knife, but it's made out of ceramic. Mine's a little grubby on the end. But we'll use this during the drop a handout link. Hang on. Let me do that. Niam, it's in the video description. Can you please do it? That's your job, not mine. It's literally in the description. I don't know how much easier I can make it. So, yeah, you will be using this little guy, and he's ceramic, so you can't really cut yourself with it. But they're very safe to do some highlighting and stuff on here. And with that being said, I think we'll probably get going. So I've got my reference picture printed out. Um, I like to have my reference kind of with what I'm working on. And I have a reference here for you all to look at. Boom. So you don't have to worry about looking if you're drawing along with me. You can see it without having to have it on multiple monitors because I'm awesome like that. I thought ahead. And with that, I think I'm going to grab my black, which is Polychromos 199. And I'm going to start drawing this little bird's eye. So when I draw the eye, I always start with the eye. I find it to be the best. And I'm just drawing really lightly, going around the bottom and then around the top, drawing the circle of the eye, and then very lightly shading, filling it in, because you can't, this is so small, we can't really see the pupil of the bird's eye. And make sure you leave out that little highlight. That's going to help give him that little bit of brightness. And I'm not being very heavy handed here. I'm just, coloring it in like little tight circle colors. We're not being too specific with this. It doesn't take a whole lot to get this little eye in there. Okay. And from there, we're going to color up out this little dark line that goes out the back. So we're going to stick with our black still, obviously, and just really tiny strokes. We're going to sweep it out from out to the bottom. Just little teeny tiny strokes until we get to this bigger area here. Once we get to that bigger area, we're going to start heading up. Just keep following that line up. And then once we hit where it connects, we're going to come down here to the bottom. And we're going to find where this black reaches out into his chin. And I'm going to go ahead and start pulling that darkness, the black in. Same little motions, just little lines. And then I'm going to travel up. And we're basically outlining it first. So just keep going up and then out and around like that. Pretty easy. And from there, I'm going to start building it out. So I'm going to grab my, let's see, I got my dark sepia, which is Polychromos 175. And I'm getting my, I've got all my pencils in an old cup here. So if you hear rattling, that's what it is. I've got my Payne's Gray, which is Polychromos 181. And I'm going to use the Payne's Gray to start with. And I'm going to just really lightly, same motion, just filling this in, giving it a little bit of depth, very lightly. And because we're drawing so small, if you printed this out at the size that I put in the handout, you should have a very small, like 4 inches across. But obviously, you can do it much larger if you like. As example, you can see is a whole lot bigger than what we're actually drawing here in class. So if you feel like you want to do bigger, you absolutely can. And the bigger you do, the more detail you can squeeze in. But for this, we went smaller because I wanted to be able to get it done in a short amount of time. But I absolutely encourage anyone that enjoys this to print it out a little bit bigger and have a go at it that way. But anyway, I'm just taking my Payne's Gray and going in really gently. Just work it in and be really soft. Like on a pressure scale from 1 to 5, we're doing about a 2. We're just flicking it up. I'm trying to go a little bit slower here so you can see what I'm doing. It's really just a little flicky motion. And I'm just going to go ahead and fill that in that way. All the way down to the bottom. And then up to there. And then I'm going to grab my walnut brown. I'm going to put just a little bit of walnut brown in it. Just to give it a little bit more color variation and depth. I feel like it always helps to have some extra colors in. It really makes it look a little more alive. And so I'm kind of not, I'm not necessarily following the reference so much with this. It's more of a creative idea of like, I want it where I see the darkness, I want that to be more rich. So I look at my reference and I can see that like it's really a lot darker, like in this little squeezy area here where his head's turned. So that's where I'm putting a lot of the sepia in, especially there. It's just to give it that little bit of darkness. So we want it to be more interesting to the eye. Okay, and just kind of taper that out. And from there, we're going to stick with the walnut brown, and we're going to come up here, and we're going to do this dark bit that's on the front of his face that comes out from his eye. Okay, and we're going to just sweep it up and around his little eyebrow here. And just really small, gentle marks. Just plotting it out. And then going around his beak and up. And these little tiny marks that just indicate where his feathers come up to meet his beak. Just very tiny. Make those as gently as you can in there. And then I'm just going to really gently, lightly fill this in with the sepia. Then I'm going to pop back over to my black. And with the black, I'm going to fill this in the same way we filled the other one in. Just lightly. And really pay attention to the direction of the feathers here because they're really growing up and around. And that's the same direction you want to have your pencil strokes growing, because if they're going, if they're going that way or this way, it's going to look a little like the feathers are growing that way, and we don't want that. So we're just going to really lightly fill it in. And once we get the little more of the face on, we're going to come back to this spot and make it have some little tufty bits, which are always very fun to draw. So For that, I think we're no. Let's do the bottom of the beak too while we're here, since we've got our blacks here. Um, let's start at the tip and just gently pull it out and down and around the side of his beak. Just draw a little line. That's all you're doing is lining the bottom of the beak. Like that. Okay, and then from there, we're going to just gently, again, using that same swooshy motion, we're going to fill out the bottom area of the beak. We're just shading it in. We don't want it to be a super hard line until we get over here. So once we get a little of that shaded in, we're going to go back to the tip and just pull out the bottom with a real gentle line. And we're just going to keep shading that in. Not pressing too hard, but it's very dark on the reference, so we want to make sure that stays black. Just so. Now, on the reference, you'll see he's got some little, like, I almost want to call them chin hairs. He's got some little feathers that kind of flick out. So we'll do those. Tend to do those little light feathers. So what I do here, let me get a sheet of paper. What I do is when I do this flick like that usually to make these feathers, just really quick motions. But obviously just go boop, 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 like that, and give him a few little chin feathers. And I'm actually going to give him one or two little ones up here as well, just to show that he's got a little bit of feathers. So then the one last place that needs a little bit of black on here is his little nostril. I'm going to fill that in, just almost just a little dot of black where his little nostril is on his beak. There. Okay, so from there, we've got all the black on his head done, which is doing pretty good. From there, we're going to swap to, let's see, our cold gray 4. Let me find mine. I think 4 will get us there. Yeah, it is a bird beard. Cold gray, that's 2. Cold gray, that's 4. All right, we're going to do cold gray 4. And we're going to do the little bit of shading around here. And on the top of above his eye, his eyebrow area. And again, pay attention to your reference. I'm going to actually make the reference a little bit bigger on here so you guys can see it. I feel like it's too small, but maybe it doesn't matter, but it feels like it matters to me. I'm going to make him a little bit bigger and just pop him in the corner. There we go. That feels better. And I'll move it once we get to the tail so it's not covering it up. But, so, just around his eye, I'm really just doing a little bit of gray, this cool gray, cold gray 4. Yeah, 4. I always have to double check those Roman numerals in my head because numbers are bad for me. But I'm just doing a little shading, just pulling it up and out. It's not complicated. This is very, very rudimentary for coloring. Just dab it in there. Nothing, no special technique for this. Just get a little bit of gray in there. And we're actually going to do that along the bottom of his eye. I'm sorry, not his eye. The black here, that's by his eye. We're going to do that. So just dab it in just a little bit. Give it some transition shadow. That's kind of what we're making. Just a little bit to give it a little shadow. There's an ant on my flipping desk. Ant, go away. Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm a mess. Okay. So from there, I really want to hit the ivory a little bit. And we're going to just, the same thing. We're just going to do light, oh, sorry, ivory is 103, polychromos 103. Take a second, let people get that. And while you're pulling colors out, go ahead and get your white too, which is 101, polychromos 101 here, right here, that one. And we'll be using both of those to get some of his face done. And probably another gray, but we'll get it when we come to it, I think. So, all right, let's get a little bit of this ivory in here. I'm just dabbing it in, just a tiny, tiny bit at a time. And I'm looking at where the highlight is what we're doing, is this little square area right here is what we're paying attention to. I'm putting just that little bit of ivory in, and then I'm going to go in with my white and just dab it in there. And I know it's really hard to tell on this drafting film where you've got it in, but there's a trick. And actually, give me a hot second, because I didn't get my special trick out here. I forgot to, but I've got it right here in a draw. I use this Stonehenge Aqua Cold Press as my my cheating paper, because I accidentally ordered cold press instead of hot press. So what I do is, to make sure I'm getting my white in, I get a sheet of this dark paper and I slip it under, and then I look where I'm putting my light so I can see that I've gotten it all in there. And it's a very big help, especially when you're working on any animal that has a lot of light fur. Like I did a dog that was mostly white. One of my friends, she had like a white and gray Shih Tzu, I think it was, mix. And if I didn't have a piece of black paper, I would have never gotten that dog finished. But it's just a very handy tip to have a piece of black paper around, and I'll be utilizing that a little bit to show you guys a little bit more. But anyway, let's also get out our light ultramarine, which is, let's see, that's sky blue. I'm pulling my sky blue out as well. Made some notes here, but light ultramarine is the one I want. Yeah, so light ultramarine and sky blue. We're gonna dab a little bit of that into here, just to give it the reflection of the feathers. And we're still working in the area that's technically the white area here. We're working in this area. It's the white feathers, but he's got blue in there from the reflection of all of his other feathers. So we're going to just really lightly take these light blues and dab them in. And I'm going to switch back and forth between them a little bit. So whenever you're working, just, as you feel maybe you need the other color, change out. The best way I've found to tell is just keep comparing to your reference and looking back and forth and see what you're feeling, what it looks like, where the dark areas are. Like for me, I'm finding that the darkest areas of him is, there's a spot right above his eye that's quite dark, and there's a spot that, as it goes down here towards the back, that the blue is really noticeable. So I'm going to drag out of the black a little bit of that blue and make it darker almost, because that's where those feathers are transitioning from the blue. And we're actually going to stick with the light ultramarine. And we're going to just pop up here and almost not outline, that's not the right word. We're going to go ahead and start doing some of the blue. Just really gently, just go in there. Make sure you're still leaving a defined line of where the white is, but start pulling out where your blue starts. Like I'm just, again, just kind of very lightly outlining it to give myself that idea of where that's going to be. And that goes all the way out and touches the black part of his eye, or the eye feathers there. From there, we shall keep going with the light ultramarine and the sky blue, and just fill in this top bit of his head. I'm using this slightly darker one, which is the light ultramarine, and I'm going to come back here on the back of his head, and he's got these little feathers that flip up, and we're just going to start building where they fill up, but we're not actually doing the flipped up bit yet. We're going to use a darker blue for that. Just start building up a little bit of where they are, just really gently give it a little flick, and it'll go right there. And we're not really worried so much about details right now. We just want to get the color in there, and we'll come back and get the details in. And just fill it in until you see where it's getting a lot lighter, and we're going to switch to the sky blue, which again is the poly 146. And we're just going to blend that in on out to the front, but not all the way, because there's a spot where his feathers are so highlighted that they're white. So what I'm going to do is I actually am going to color it all in, but then I'm going to use my kneaded eraser to lift the pigment off. So if you don't have a kneaded eraser at hand, what I would do is just very lightly, just the lightest pressure, like don't even put pressure on the pencil. Just lay the pencil on there and let it touch the paper and just wiggle it. If that that's the only way I know it sounds weird, but that's the only way I can think of to describe it. Just to get just a little bit of pigment on there. And with practice, you get a lot better at doing that without having to hold the pencil weird. But my lazy way of doing it is to use the kneaded eraser, because I have problems with sometimes controlling the pencil because my hand hurts. So I use my kneaded eraser, and I form it into like a little pointed bit like that. As you can see, it's just a little pointed bit, and just kind of dab it, and it'll take the pigment right off. You know, you're not scrubbing at it or anything. I'm literally just giving it a little dab. Just like that. Easy peasy. Okay, cool. And I'm going to take the white now, and I'm going to just really gently go back into where I just lifted that pigment off and pull just a tiny bit of white in there. Just to give it a little highlight. And again, if you have the black paper, this is a good time again to just pop it under here and see where your highlights are. You can see how much white I've put in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my sky blue while I've got my dark color and just blend it together a little bit. Just blend them together a little bit. There we go. That's enough. I'm going to put that under there so I've got it. So from here, we're going to go down the back of his head. I'll get my reference. Look at it. Okay, we're going to use... Let's see what pencils I've pulled out for us here. We're going to use... So a tip, whenever you're trying to match your pencil colors, I always just hold my pencil up to the reference. And, you know, that's how I match my colors, really. We're going to use our Prussian blue, I think, which is Polychromos 246. And we're going to use Cobalt blue, which is 143. I think these are going to be our two main body colors for this guy. And we'll keep our sky blue and our cobalt, our light ultramarine, not cobalt, out. And we'll use these four colors to build up the body. We may also want cobalt blue greenish, just for some color interestingness in there, some color variety. That's the word, interestingness. But we'll see what we need. Let's just move along. So we'll do the back of his head first. Well, the back of his neck. Well, actually, no. Yes, that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna take my sky blue, and again I'm gonna mark out. He's got this little white area, this little light white area that we probably should have did earlier, but we'll come back to it. And I'm gonna mark it out, just kind of really lightly, so I don't go over it. And then even in that area, he's almost got some little blue feathers, so we can give him some blue coming out of the black, just a little tiny bit. So we'll just go ahead and do this white area so it's done. Otherwise, I'll forget because you can't see it very well on the drafting film. So just give him some little blue feathers there, and then get your white. If you're like me, you've got a whole pile of pencils now. It's like all my pencils have just flopped out here on my table. So don't feel bad if you've got a pile. That's just kind of how it goes when you work like this. And I'm just dragging the white down. We're just filling it in. Just get that color in there. No need to be too particular about it. I just want to make sure it's filled in. And the other thing you can do is if you don't have the black paper, you can take a sheet of printer paper. That's what I've got here, and I've just marked on it there. But you can, I'm going to fold it in half, so it's a little easier to work with. But you can also just slide it under, and that'll give you the same effect. You can see what you've got going on. It's not quite as good for the white, but we're going to use this a lot. So I think I did put on the materials list to have a scrap of printer paper available, and that's what this is going to be for, is for looking at the back. So I'm not looking at the without the line work. Can't think of the word for that. Like just seeing it without. So I'm going to grab up, we should still have out the cold gray too that we used a little bit around the eye. And I'm going to put some of that in here. And just shade it out a little bit. Give them just a little tiny bit of detail in there. And it's okay if you hit the black and drag some of the pigment out. That we kind of want that because it helps us not have to do as much detail work because it's doing it for us. And we're just going to drag that out. And I'm going to put some of the gray in the outer part of it. And I'm just kind of plotting it in. Not really too detailed. Don't have to be. So then I'm going to grab my sky blue. And I'm going to go back to that transition line. I'm going to start really filling in now. And I'm not like coloring back and forth. I'm just still drawing those little small strokes. Just giving him some color. Just like that. All right, then we're going to switch to our cobalt blue, I think. 143 cobalt blue. And really lightly, we're going to start from the bottom, and we're going to go up with our strokes. We're going to be pushing that darker color up in. And we're going to be very light-handed with this. We don't want to go too crazy with it. Want to have that saturated color in there. Just right in the corner and going along the edge, just a tiny, tiny bit. And just blend it out. There's not really another pigment. There should be a little bit of a gap between the two pigments right now. Well, for me, there is. You may have obviously colored differently, but that's how I've done it. Because I'm going to put one more blue in here to blend them all together. And that blue, I think, is going to be the light ultramarine. We're going to come in here and just start at the top. Really give us a hard line at the edge where his you know, the edge of his body, and then pull between those two colors and just blend it real gently with the pencil. So those colors should go right together. And then if you need to blend more, you can go into the dark and push up and push that pigment up. And if that's not working very well for you, you can do really small circular strokes. And that will just do little tiny circles. And that will help push the pigment around. If you can see what I'm doing, just like little circle, little circle, little circle. But with with more highly detailed things, that is a technique that helps a lot to get your details a little sharper, because the edges will be harder. So just keep blending this out. Blend it out, blend it out, blend it out. And then make sure you avoid the white area here that we've got. I'm kind of not doing that, but it's okay. Even if you go into it, it's okay. It's art. So just darken that up with this color. Do we get a good division line? That's the word I've been trying to think of. Division. Just bring that in there like that. That looks pretty good. So we're going to stay with the light ultramarine, and we're going to finish off his head now. So we're going to go up here to the top and just pull these feathers. We're going to start doing this crest that he has. And this is where, when he did his little birdie beard, when we did that flick motion, we're going to be doing that up here on his head too. So we're going to start flicking the pencil up. And at this point, once you've gotten a couple of the ones defining the area where it is down, you can slip your piece of paper under here and kind of just go with the vibe of it. And it'll really give the piece a little more life, because you're not really going with the flow. You're just, I mean, you are going with the flow. You're not going with the line work so much. You're giving it a little bit more creativity, because it don't have to be perfect. Perfect is not what we're striving for. Then I'm going to take the cobalt blue, and I'm going to sharpen mine, actually. All right, Sarah, thank you for coming by. All right, and we're going to flip this up a little bit more with this darker color on the bottom. Up it, up it, up. Let's like that. Give it a little bit of shading. And then I'm going to go back to my light ultramarine. And I'm going to start blending that darkness into the crest. And I'm going to take my white away now and kind of see how close I got. And we got pretty close with our creativity. That's fine. So we're going to keep going and bring it down. Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. Now we're going to finish out his head with the same color, the light ultramarine. We're just going to fill in really lightly and bring it up into the crest. Just so. And then all the way down. All the way down. Fill it in, fill it in. And I'm even going to go over here and just retouch a little of these spots with the light ultramarine. Just because I don't like that there's not so much definition. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take my white. And I'm gonna put the white. I'm looking at the reference, and he's definitely got a highlight on his crest. So we want that to. I don't know how good we're gonna get that. We might need to use our kneaded eraser and lift a little bit of pigment here. Or if you've got a regular eraser, that's fine. You can just dab a little and get a little bit of the pigment off. That's all we got to do. And then we're going to put our white on there. Right there. On that one. Maybe a little on that one. Just to show he's got some feather highlight. Cool. All right. My poor knuckles are all poppy. All right. Now let's do the white that's around his the rest of his face. Yeah. Or you can see how much white I put on the crest. Oh no, we didn't. We finish his beak. We should do that. Oh, I haven't even finished the top of his face. Goodness. All right. So let's use our sky blue. No, that's white. We need to use our white here. And we're going to really lightly come in. And you can see how I'm just barely letting the pencil touch the paper to do some white in here. Because this is there's a lot of blue in this white area. And we want to be able to get that blue in there as well. So I'm just really lightly putting it in. Just giving it a little shade. Then I'm going to get my sky blue. And I'm going to do the same thing. Very lightly. Just pull it in. Like that. I'm not trying to connect it or anything. I'm just giving it a little bit of a bump. I'm going to take it all the way around. And I'm going to get my white again. And then I'm going to go back over it. And I'm going to go down into this gray that we put in. And I'm going to start pulling that gray out. Just like that. Just like that. And go all the way to the edge. So now he's got a little bit of blue in there, and it's white, and it looks nice. And you can have a couple little feathers going out. Just dab them out, so that it's not so stark of a transition. You just gotta pick almost like pick them out with your pencil. Just very gently dab. And then sometimes you can push the white back. It's all about moving the pigment around just a little bit. Okay, cool. So let's do the top of his beak now. Well, so I got the white, and he's got this little white fluff on the top of his beak. And I'm going to line work back for this. He's got this little fluff here on in front of his beak. And I'm just getting this pigment in to start with. And like, again, we'll come back and do a little shading on it if we need to. We might not even need to. Just fill that bit in. Oh, I don't think we put white in the white of his eye. So if you have not put white in the white of your eye, go ahead and do that. Just a little bit of white in there. There we go. A little highlight. I'm all over the place on this piece, aren't I? All right, so then I'm going to take my light ultramarine. And I'm going to... Hopefully that didn't just break my camera. I just hit it with my head. I'm sorry. I'm going to begin at the tip of the beak. And gently, gently, gently pull it all the way up to where we did that white. And then fill it in. Make sure you get all the way up here to the end of his mouth. Like there's a little section that goes all the way up. Make sure you get that. Just fill it in. Easy peasy. Okay. Then I'm gonna grab let's see, we don't need a super saturated blue. We need sky blue. We're going to go in with the sky blue and just give it a little bit of a differentiation of color around where the beak and the corner of the mouth. That's where I'm putting mine. Just a little bit in there. Just to give it some variation. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so then we're going to do this white area here. And for that, we're going to do white, ivory, and our cool gray that we already have out, which is cool gray 2. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So look and see how much we haven't done. Yeah, we've not done any of that. Okay. Okay. So I had to take a sip of my water. I might lose my voice through this. Goodness. So okay, we need to get the cool gray 2. And we're going to start doing the shading under the beak. And we're just going to pull it down, pull it down, pull it down. Very gently. Just give it a little nudge. Give him some shading under there. And this is, again, we're not doing crazy details. We're just getting the color in. Very, very light, very gently. It's all about just patiently getting it in. And take it all the way down to where that transition line is. All the way down. Then you can grab your ivory. We're going to put just a tiny bit of ivory in. And we're using the ivory to differentiate like where the skull is. So his actual like bone structure is here. And we're going to give him that little highlight on his cheek, basically, where his cheekbone is. It just gives a little bit more visual interest, in my opinion, to put that ivory in there. And we're going to grab our white. And my white is almost not sharp enough. We're going to sharpen it. Generally, when I'm using white on a piece, I don't actually go for the polychromos white. I like to use this one, which is the Pablo, Caran d'Ache Pablo white. It's a much more opaque white. I find it to be easier to get a good solid lay down. But for this piece, I wanted to make sure we were only using polychromos so it was a little bit more accessible to people. But that's a hot tip, is if you want a better white and a better black, the polychromos black is garbage. It's very transparent, which in some cases it's good, but I find when I want a black, I want it to be a solid black. So I like to use the Pablos for both of those. They're very good blacks, black and white. Anyway, we're just filling this in again as we were. And don't be afraid if you kind of blur up the edges. That's okay. We want that. It gives it some visual interest. Kind of smudge some little feathers in and out. And just blend it out. Little blend. And then again, we've got that little band of ivory we put in, and just blend into that. You can actually just color over the ivory completely if you want to. It's not going to hurt it. And you can see I'm doing very short strokes and just running down the direction that the feathers go. Just keep following the directions that the feathers go. Put your lines in, fill it in. Really get it in there. I'm going to look again with my paper and see how we're doing. Use the black. And I've done a kind of bad job at this, so we're going to really get in here. What? Yeah, that goes all the way up there. And make sure you get right around his little eye where we put that gray. Just blend it really gently. I'm doing little tight circles to blend that color together. We want that to be pretty smooth. Just really gently. And we're layering. That's what we're doing when we do these strokes over and over again. We're actually layering the pencil. And you can see on mine it's starting to have layers where I've done it over and over again. Like there's a layer there, a layer there, a layer there. And that gives the indication of the feathers, kind of how they lay on the bird itself. So it's a little difficult to explain, but visually it should make sense. And just pull them all the way down. And we put that light gray in there as well. And I'm actually going to grab that back up because I did not get very good coverage on that. We're going to pull it back. I'm actually going to put some of the gray over here as well. This is the cold gray too, by the way, still. Just putting it in wherever it feels like it needs it. Maybe a little bit by the eye. And obviously, you know, yours may be different. So just wherever you feel you may need a little bit darker shadow. And I'm feeling like mine actually needs a darker shadow than that. So I'm going to grab, I don't want to do Payne's Gray. That's too dark. I'm going to grab, what do I have in my pencil bucket? Do we have Cold Gray 5 in our pencil bucket? I got Warm Gray 5. I don't want that. I'm gonna put a bunch of cold grays on our list. Let's just Cold Gray 4. We'll use that. We'll use Cold Gray 4. So from there, take these away. Because I want to be really precise with this on the line work. Because I don't want to mess his face up. We're going to come down here and just really gently pull this shadow down. We're not pushing hard. We're just giving it just a little shadowy bit coming down. Just shade it down. Just like that. And again, it can be hard to see. So if you need to put your paper back under it, put your paper back under it. You can kind of see where we've gone with that. And then I'm blending it back out again with the white. There we go. All right. So now, I want to do his wing. Yeah. No, I'm going to do his tail first. We're gonna work from this side over. So let me move the reference image. I'll put it on the other side. I'll put it down here. There. That should be okay. And we'll take a break at 2. Actually, no, let's take a little break right now. It's been an hour, and we've got his head done. So we'll do a 5-minute break. It's 2:01. We'll come back at 2:07. So I'm going to put us in, be right back, and mute, and stand up and have a stretch. I would recommend everyone else do the same. I will be right back. All right. I think that's a good little break. Had a good stretch, had a sip of water. We shall carry on now with our Bluejay. Throw everything everywhere, apparently. So, I think I'd like to do the tail. And that tail has some really vivid colors in it. So, for now, I'm going to tidy up a little bit, put some of my colors to the side. Make sure you leave your black out if you do tidy up a little bit, because we're going to be using that black a lot. We'll start actually with the black. I'll go ahead and push all that to the side, but it's not going everywhere. There we are. Perfect. Okay. So, this is really tiny. It's going to be hard to do these little details, but we can do it. We're going to start. My reference, where'd it go? We're going to start here at the body, on the very bottom, and we're just going to really lightly pull that line all the way out. And we're not doing the bottom feather. We're doing, there's a feather here in the middle that's black. Actually, we're not going to start here. We're going to start on this end so we can keep track of this feather. It starts right there. And it's just kind of diagonal line and goes in. I'm just going to shade it completely black. And then I'm going to pull it under where it's coming from. And the line gets very, very thin here to right there. That's the first dark feather. And then there's another one right below it. And there's a little gap between them. So try and leave a gap. But if you can't leave a gap, it's okay. And actually, I think I'm going to not leave a gap, and I'll pick it back out with the slice tool. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that second little bump feather and pull it out. And we'll come back and separate it. I'm just going to color it in. And once we get this tail done, we'll come back and do some slice on it. And we'll get a demonstration of that done. Okay. Then we want to start now, I think, and get some of this vivid blue in, because the bottom is more white. There's a lot of highlights on this top, too. Let's get our sky blue, our lightest blue, and have your white handy. My white has disappeared. There it is. Get your white and your sky blue handy. We'll start with the sky. No, let's start with the white, actually. And we're just going to put a little line of white along the top. Just real gently, not pressing hard, just getting it in there. And that line goes almost to the end of this feather on the top, where it's got a highlight. So we're going to go all the way. And we may need to utilize our paper here to show us where we've... this doesn't help. Well, we'll figure it out in a minute. But for now, just get your line in there, and once we get some more stuff around it, we'll be able to make more sense of it. So just get the white line in. And that goes almost all the way to the end. I'm taking mine to where there's like a little dark section here. So that's where I'm ending my white. And then there is a little dark section. And then there's another kind of big flat feather. And we're going to just very lightly shade some white onto that as well. And we're going to be going over all of this white with a blue. We just want to have a little bit of white to lighten everything up. So just very, very lightly, we're just gently, gently, gently putting some white down. Okay. Once you've got that down, we're going to take our sky blue and we're going to go over all of that white. So I'm going to start here at the body. And I'm going to do each feather as individually as I can. And just push the pigment down the feather. And this top feather doesn't have any black banding on it, so we don't need the black yet, but we're gonna, as we go, we'll be adding the black too. So just very gently, 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 gently shade this in. Just like that. There we go. And then for the end, let's grab our dark indigo. And we're going to take that, and at the very tip, we're going to start pulling back up. Oh, sorry, dark indigo is 157. Polychroma is 157. We're going to want to go from the very tip and just pull it up. And I've flubbed mine a little bit here, so I'm going to fix it. Tap, tap, tap. Try and get that line as straight as you can, because that's going to be the tip of the feather. And then just go along the bottom of it into that darkness. Because there's a dark line here, and we're going to use this dark indigo, and we're going to come up here and get that line, and we're going to bring it down. All the way to there. And I've made mine a little squiggly, but that's okay, because this is all dark in here. But just as long as you leave out room for that feather that's below it. And now here at the end, there's like a little triangle shape where the feathers are just kind of bunched up, so just block that in. Just block that little bit in. Now I'm going to take my kneaded eraser. Actually, no, I'm not. Sorry, I lied. I'm not taking my kneaded eraser. We're going to stick with this for now, and we'll come back with the slice tool to open up the lightness at the end of this. Actually, let's do it right now. I don't want to forget that I'm going to do it, because we need to do this bottom bit as well. So if you have a slice tool, or you can do this with, I'm trying to think of what else I've seen people do it with. You know, X-Acto knife number 11 blade will work, but be very careful because they're so sharp. You can damage the paper. That's why we like every color pencil artist I know uses a slice tool instead. So what there's a trick to using this. Normally when you cut a box or whatever, these are box cutters. That's what they're used for normally in like everyday world. But what we use them, we instead of holding them like you would as a box cutter like that with the blade down, we hold them upside down so that the blade's pointed up. Because we want to use the very tip of it. We're using this part right here. We're not using any of the any of that bit. We're only using the tip. And because this has a dull blade, or sorry, a dull end on it, we can use the end of the blade to scrape the pigment off of the paper. And you'll notice that it's got a little bit of thickness to it. And we're going to use that to have some control. We're going to, as we turn the blade, we can lean into the thickness to make the line that's scraped thicker or thinner to an extent. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my slicey tool. I'm going to get a reference, say here. I'm going to take my slice tool and just really gently, I'm going to have to look at the reference really closely. I'm going to just pick out. It does take some pressure to do, but you're going to pick out that light spot. And the same thing down here, where we've got a couple of lines. You just got to go with it and pick out that light spot. And I'll be honest, my hand's a little unsteady when I do this, so I always have to go back and clean it up a little tiny bit. And then again, I'm going to pick out that light spot. Pick out where the feathers are. And just give it some texture in there. And it, like I said, it doesn't have to be straight. It doesn't have to be perfect. No one's looking for perfect. It's art. And just get in there. And that's good. And if you have like a clean brush, like a makeup brush or even a paint brush, I always, this is instead of using your hand to wipe your art off, you should always use one of these because it picks up all of the, especially this type of brush. This is a powdered blush brush. These are designed to pick up the powdered pigments of the makeup. So they work great for getting this stuff off of your art when you're erasing or using a slice tool or whatever. It picks everything up and then you can just dust it off. So that's another hot tip if you are looking at doing color pencil work, especially using drafting film, is these blush brushes are indispensable. I have like 5 of them. And my cat carries them off, and I have to go buy another one like once a month, it feels like. But they're great. So we'll put our slice tool away for now. I know we said somebody will use it up here, but we'll come back to that once we get more of the blue done. So we've got a little bit of opening up there now, and I'm going to grab the white, and I'm going to really, really, really gently go where we did the slice scrape. I'm just going to try and fill that spot in now with white. Just very gently fill it in because we want it to blend back in. Just like that. Perfect. Okay. From there, we're going to grab the Prussian blue that we pulled out. I think this one's Prussian, yes. And we're going to grab, get the other colors that I pulled out that I've got scattered everywhere. Yeah, Prussian blue, I believe, is going to be our main color here on the end of the tail. Let me sharpen mine. And that is Polychromos number 246, if you are counting. Also, if you need a recommendation for a pencil sharpener, the Derwent long point, it's hard to see in my camera, but it's got a little cup for your shavings. It's called Derwent's long point pencil sharpener. It's like the kind you used to use in school, but it gets such a dang sharp. I almost did the bad thing with my hand. It gets such a dang sharp. Look how sharp that is. It's crazy sharp. Love it. Best pencil sharpener I've ever had. Do recommend. It's like $30, but it's $30 well spent. Big recommendation on that. So from here, I'm going to go on the very end and just start pulling this Prussian blue out. And we're going to work up this feather with the Prussian blue. And we've got some white here. So once we start hitting where that white is, we're going to get really light-handed and just let the Prussian blue glide over it a little bit. And we're not going to go too far over with that. We want to just blend it in just a little bit. Just enough to just enough blend that it's, believable. And then I'm going to go back down here to the tip and really darken it up with this Prussian blue because I want it to be very vivid. Like that. And I have once again gone a little out of bounds and made it look weird. So I'm going to grab my Tombow and fix it. And again, Tombows are great little erasers. They're stick erasers. You can pump as much of it out as you need. A lot of people like to take their slice tool and cut these at an angle to get more precision. I don't do that. I don't find the need for it. I think it's wasteful. And you can just very gently use this to bump up and get what you need. And I'm just fixing where I've gone out of the line, so don't feel like you need to erase. I've just messed up a little bit here. I'm just tidying it up a little bit. And that needs a little help. And I said earlier, we don't really want to stay too close to the line art because it is art, but there are some parts that you do want to make sure you get right. And the tail is really one of those because a bird's tail is such a big part of its, its silhouette really here. We need to make sure that this is right. So I'm going to grab, let's grab our cobalt blue. I'm going to think about it for a second. I think that's the right color we want. Yeah, and we're going to do that next big feather that's down here. I love this blue. It's so vivid. And we're going to really lightly just bring it in. And we're going to go, again, around kind of where the white is, the lightness. And this feather has both light and dark on it. So we're going to take that darkness all the way to the base of the bird's tail. And I say darkness, but I mean this color. We're going to take this cobalt blue all the way to the base of the tail. Really just bring it all the way out here. Just like that. Then I'm going to start bringing it up. And just really gently bring it up. And let it sweep over that light that we put down. Just sweep up. And we're going to come back in a minute with the light and blend this out. So if you think it looks weird or whatever, just sit with it for a minute. Because we're going to come back. That's one of the most important things about color pencil is there's always an ugly stage. Like, there's always, always, always an ugly stage. So I'm going to grab my, this is sky blue. And I'm not going to go all the way up to where the top is, but I'm just going to use it to kind of lower the saturation a little bit on this. Just kind of tamp it down here. And I'm leaving room for that highlight still. Just going down the tail. all the way down the tail. Okay. Now while I'm thinking about it, we're going to grab our indigo. And we're going to put the little dark bars in on his tail. These little stripes that he has. We're going to put those in with dark indigo and maybe a dab of black. So, let me put my reference a little closer. He's got like 6 of them. So we'll say was one there. And we're just really gently marking it in. We're not pressing hard or anything. We're just letting the pencil drift across the paper. And make sure you're not just doing a, let me find my, you're not doing a straight line like that. You're doing a more of a curved line like that because you want to have the feel of the feather. Because it's not a flat feather. It's got a little bit of a curve to it. So that's the motion you're doing whenever you're drawing these lines in, is you're really following the shape of the feather. It's very important to get that right. I don't know why I put that in the white. Don't do that. Don't do what I just did. Put that right in the white. Put some white back on that. There we go. Whoops. Okay. And then we're going to put another one right here. And just real gently, and you can kind of shade around it a little bit so that it's got like some cushioning around it visually. Because I think we're going to come back and do some black on this. And then another one there. And then maybe one more here. Yeah. Then we're going to take the black. And we're going to go into these last couple. And just give them a little tap of black in them. So that they're darker. On the bottom, specifically. Just pull it up. I'll find that bottom edge. And pull up. And while I've got the black, I'm going to go back up here and re-darken up this little triangle-y area that's between the feathers. And I did go in with the slice tool and leave a mark. So the slice tool will actually indent the paper if you press hard enough. And sometimes you want that, and I've done that here. So that when I go back over it, the black won't cover where the slice tool was. And the same thing down here. I'm going to go in with my black while I've got it and just darken up some of these underneath feathers. And you can see when I'm going over where I did the marks, they're staying. And that's because of how hard I pressed with the slice tool. It's indented the paper. So it allows me to keep the definition that I made while also getting my pencil's darkness in there. And that is one of the amazing things about using the slice tool, is it lets you work reductively. I don't think that's the right word. So, there, it's starting to look like a tail already. We got a little tiny bit done. All right, next up, we're gonna do let's see, dark indigo again. And then we've got a little bit of white. So we're gonna do this third feather from the top. It's really teeny tiny, but we're gonna make that one dark indigo. And we're gonna just pull it on down. Just like that. And tuck it in there. Nothing special. We're just blocking this color in. There's no detail here. We're just getting the colors in. And then we're going to take our, we're going to start doing the light feathers now. So this one here that we can see, it's more like just a circle of blue that we can see. So I'm getting my sky blue, and I'm going to just outline it first on the end and then just fill it on in. And I'm not going to take it all the way up. I'm going to take my my warm gray 4. Yeah, Polychromos warm gray 4 273. And I'm going to take, and from the inside, I'm going to pull that out into that blue, just so it's got some definition in it. Like that. So it's not quite black, but you can see it's a different color, but it's also shaded. Okay. Now we're going to keep that warm gray, and we're going to come down here on the bottom, and these bottom feathers that are technically white, but they're in shadow, we're going to go ahead and pull them out with this warm gray 4. Just grab them and pull them on out, and go under that black, and go all the way to the end, and just color it in. There's no detail here, just color it in. And then I'm going to do just a tiny, actually, no, that's all we're going to do with that. Then we're going to grab our white, because this is really white here on the end. And we're going to just, again, there's no detail. We're just filling it in. This little white bit on the tip of his tail. And I'm using pretty firm pressure, probably like a 3 on the pressure scale, and just really getting it in there. And a little bit of blending once I hit the black, but not too much. And then I'm going to go down here where we did this stripe of gray on the bottom and try and put just a little tiny dab of white on the end of that one too. So it looks like the light's hitting it and it's being shadowed a little bit. Okay. Let's have a look at that. And the one thing I could say is every time you do something, keep checking it. You really have to look at it repeatedly. Make sure that you don't need to fine-tune anything or change anything. Like I've got a little speck right here. I don't know what it is. That's got to go though. There we go. Well, that's looking pretty good. We've got a face and we've got a tail. We're getting there. All right, let's start on the wing. I got the tail finished. Sip of my water. Okay, so the wing. Let's see. What colors do we need for the wing? I really put too many colors on the supply list because I used a lot of different colors on the big one that I don't think we're going to get to, but better to have and not need than need and not have. Pull out your bluish turquoise, which is 149. Pull out your, let's see, what else do we not have out? We're going to probably need ultramarine, which is 120. 120. Oh, it's upside down. 120. Boop. We'll do the rest when we get down here to this. For now, we're just going to do this top bit, which is going to be the ultramarine, I think. The light ultramarine. Where'd it go? There it is. And let's see. I'm thinking we need a gray in here too, just to balance it out. Looking at the grays I have out. I'll do cold gray too. Cold gray too and light ultramarine are the two we'll use. So let me make the reference a little bit smaller so you can see what I'm doing. And I'll move it back up to the top. So I've got the tail done. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start with the light ultramarine. And again, this is really a case of we're just going to fill this whole section in because there's not a lot of specific detail in here. If you look at the top of his wing, there's like a little light section here that we need to pick out. And actually, let's do that now. Let's go ahead and we'll grab our sky blue. And we're going to just real gently shade that light area. And then we're going to put some white in it after we get this sky blue down. We're just going to cushion it with this sky blue. Where it kind of highlights off the wing. And then I'm going to grab my white. And I'm going to lay that white on top of the blue. Like so. And I'm not going out of the bounds of where I put the blue. I'm just staying on top of the blue that I just put down. Just mixing them together, kind of. And then I'm going to grab the sky blue again. And I'm just going to put another gentle layer of the sky blue on top of that. So that white's kind of sandwiched in there. I really want to give the impression that the light is hitting those feathers. So now we'll grab, what did I have? I don't remember. Sorry, y'all, my memory's bad. Cobalt blue, maybe? No, that's too blue. We need ultramarine. No. You know, let's start with cold gray. We'll start with that. Let's just do a small, very light layer of the cold gray on the lower part of the wing here. Very lightly. Very, very lightly. I'm thinking we need maybe helio blue. Do I have that? Did I put that on here? I think I did. I've got cobalt blue greenish. That one's really close. Looking at my pencil cup. This is like the most disorganized part of trying to do a workshop, is having all these pencils and trying to work your way through where they went. Let's see. Not that one, but we'll let that one out. Helio blue. There it is. Yeah, helio blue reddish, 151. There it is. That's the one we want. That's going to be our darks. So we're going to start here. Love this color. And we're just going to edge down. And there's a dark spot right here. And that's what we're going to start. We're going to build this dark up, and then we're going to work upwards. And then we're going to stop. We're not going to do this part yet. We'll do that in a second. We're just working solely on this bit right here. If you can see. So we're going to bring that down. Really give it a shadow. And very lightly. And this blue is so vivid, it's really easy to go too much with it. So just be really gentle. Really, really gentle. And just dab it along the edge. And I'm almost, not quite, but almost outlining this bottom of this wing. Just giving it some definition of that's where it's the feathers change. Just dotting it in, really, more than anything. Just there. All right. Then I'm going to take my Prussian blue. And I'm going to pull all that up. But just a little bit. So we want to keep that vividness. And again, these are very, very, very pigmented colors, so it doesn't take a lot of pressure to get a good color on the paper. We're just really gently blending it in, and we're going to blend into the lighter blues here. We've got to make a transition. And this is one of the harder parts of doing like a bird like this, is that transitional spot where the light's hitting it when it's such a dark color. So just keep working up. Very gently work it up. This little small strokes. And keep in mind the direction of the feathers, because this is his wing. And his wing is folded, so his little arm is kind of like that with the feathers. So the feathers are going that direction, that direction, that direction. And then these little feathers are all going like that. That's the direction they're going. So keep that in mind when you're drawing. Like his little arm is like that. So these feathers actually go that way. Because this is the edge of his wing. And just gently, 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 gently dab that in. And then they start to go down here because we're looking at the actual wingy bit. And now start getting into that light blue. So we're going to go ahead and switch up to light ultramarine, the 140. And I'm going to come back into this dark, and we're just going to go over all of the dark with the 140. And I'm not even doing strokes. I'm just straight coloring it in. There's no detail in this part of the bird. I mean, there is a little, but we'll get to that. We're just getting the color in first. Just like we did the tail, we get the color in, and we'll do the detail in a minute. We just gotta get this color in. And I'm going all the way up to the top, and I'm going all the way around where that highlight is. And I'm going up to the highlight and blending in the highlight. And then I'm going to come down here and blend the other side of the highlight down. And on the front side, we're going to blend that highlight out a little bit too, so it blends on in. And you'll see it start to come together now once you get this light ultramarine in there. It really connects everything together. Just blend it in. And of course, this is the point where you can put your paper underneath and work. And it does help a lot to see where you need to put more detail. It hides the line work from you, so you can get your detail in there a little bit better. And I think that looks pretty darn good. Just a little bit more up here. Let's grab our white. That's not white, this is white. And on top of the highlight, I'm just bringing the white back in a little bit. Okay. It's looking good. Okay, that's the top of the wing done. So from there, we haven't done this little section. I don't know why I missed that out. So I'm just going to grab my cool gray 2. I think that's what we were using. And I'm just going to go ahead and fill that little bit in that I missed. And you may have gotten this, and I've just done a bad job. So you may not need to do this. But this is what I've got to do. So I'm just going to follow that so there's not a gap. Bring it down. Blend, blend, blend. It's all about blending. A lot of people say that you can't do layers on drafting film. Well, I think that's crap. I think they're lying because I can get plenty of layers on drafting film. Never had a problem with it. Like, you can see what we're doing here. We're getting layers on drafting film easily. Just put a little bit more wherever you think there needs to be a little bit more shadow. Just feel free. You don't have to follow me. Just put it wherever you think your drawing needs a little bit of a little help. Okay. So I think we'll do his chest now. We'll work on down. So we're going to use a lot of cool gray. We're going to use the 2. We're going to use the... That's warm. We don't need warm. We're going to use... Not that one. I got cold gray 1. Which, actually, we may not use cold gray 1. Let's leave that out. We'll just stick to white. Cold gray 2. And... Oh, here it is. This is it. Cold gray 4. Yes. Those are the colors we're going to use for the chest. And maybe Payne's gray. Payne's, we've got a Payne's. Okay. So, his chest gets quite dark here. So, we're gonna have to go pretty dark. And that'll be our Payne's gray, I think. So, we'll start with that and work towards the light. Okay. So again, we're just going to block out the shape first. And I'm going to start on this side where he's got just this little bit of shading that comes down. Just like that, and then it kind of tapers off. And we're using the lightest pressure we possibly can here. We're just getting that dark on the paper. No texture, no nothing. We're just filling it in. But do continue to use the short strokes. Don't do that. Do the little short strokes because we want to follow the feather direction at all times because that's going to give us the impression when we look at it that it is real. That's how you get that that illusion that you've really done a lot of work when you've not really done much at all. So then let's move over here. His little wing kind of folds up. And that's not so dark, but it's really dark right here under the wing. So we'll put some of that there. We're doing still Payne's gray here. And the darkness goes to about there. And we're just shading it out, blending it in. Carry that out. And you can see I'm doing those scribbles now, just little back and forths, because this is going to be, there's no texture, no detail in here. Once it gets to where it looks like you can see the feathers again, I am starting to transition back into using the strokes in the feather direction. And we'll blend that together. And it will be pretty seamless once you go over it a couple of times. And really, really lightly. Let's see. This goes. I'm gonna grab my cold gray 4. And see, this kind of goes over this feather. So that blocks out like that. And I'm not quite gone far enough, I think, with his blue here, but that's fine. And this goes all the way up to his neck. So just blend it in. And I'm leaving a little gap because I did not go far enough with this wing. And I'm going to address that real quick. Let me find my Prussian blue. Let me fix this. Or I didn't do it right. Just blend it. Blend it, blend it, blend it. And you can see how easy it is to just fix little mistakes when you make them just like that. Like, everyone makes mistakes, and it's no problem. Just fix them. It's so easy to fix mistakes on drafting film. Just, plot it in. You're fine. You'll be fine. Your drawing will be fine. There. So, from there, you can see he's got a couple little feathers that are sticking into the blue. And you can use you can actually do what I just did with the Prussian blue and sculpt out a little ziggy zaggy area that will show a more distinct line of those feathers overlapping each other. And if you have done a more solid line, you can take your Tombow or your kneaded eraser or whatever eraser you're using and go in and just gently tap out those lines and then go back and fill them in again. There's no hard set rule about how to do it. Just whatever works for you. You'll do it and it'll be great. So I'm going to grab my cold gray, which is 132, cold gray 2, sorry. And I'm going to start outlining the line where the dark area is, which is like there. And then it comes around to there. And we'll go ahead and start blending this side up. Blend him up, up, up. And then from the top, we're going to go down as well with the cold gray too. Just like that. Just like that. Down. And once we get to the Payne's Gray that we've put down here, we're going to go over the Payne's Gray. And just blend it together. Just like that. Let's smooth it out. This is a really smooth area of his chest where all those little plush feathers are. So we want this to be nice and smooth. The birds are very, very soft on their chests. So I'm keeping with the cool gray, and I'm going to work down. There's a little puff of white here. Let me grab the white real quick, and we'll put that in. So it's about right here. He's got a little. Let me grab my dark paper. I need my dark paper for this. He's got like a little tuft of white that goes. Where's the bottom? His bottom is here. Mark this out so I can not mess it up. Okay. So he's got a little puff. A little puffy puff of fur. Or feathers. I don't know why I keep saying fur. I've been drawing fur all week. I got fur on the brain. I would bring the white down. Down, down, down. And you can see I'm just really gently plotting it in. Getting a good little base layer down. And then once I'm happy with where that's at, which I think I am, goes all the way down to his leg. It's not so dark there. Yeah, that looks good. What time is it? It's 2. We should probably take another break here in a second, but let's finish up this white and then we'll take another break. All right. I think we can probably finish this by 3 if we hustle. But we gotta be quick. All right. So back to the cold gray 2. Just going around the edge. Going around the edge. And this is going to be kind of our transition color is the cold gray 2. So we really want to stick around the edge of the white without going over the white. And that goes down into there. And just smooth it in. And then this goes down, and it goes all the way down and around. So we're going to stick with going that way. Can't even see that. Let's try the white paper. That's a little bit better. A little bit better. Goes down and around. And then it goes up into his body here. Okay. All right. That looks good. And then here on his little leg, he's got a really bright highlight. So we're going to work around that with our cool gray 2. Cold gray 2. I keep saying cool gray. I grew up using Prismacolor, so everything's cool and warm. It's not cold, it's cool. So now we're going to start blending this Payne's gray, and we're going to switch to our cold gray 4. And that's going to be our next transition color. And we're just going to pull that Payne's gray down into the cool gray 2. Just real gently pull it down. And we're actually going to take this cold gray all the way down to where the leg has that white spot. And just blend it down. And take it around the front of the top. And we're taking it all the way around here, where he's got this little heart shape almost on his chest. I need to sharpen this. It's a little too dull for me. Okay. A little quick on that. It's amazing that just a little bit of sharpness will do on a pencil to get your lines better. Like if you feel like you're not getting good detail and you can't figure out why, sharpen your pencil. That's always the answer in my experience. Just sharpen your pencil. Just fill that in. Just like that. And I've again messed up a little bit, so I'm going to take my kneaded eraser and I'm going to form it into a little point, and I'm going to dab, dab, dab. Dab, dab, dab. It's completely okay to make mistakes. It's very easy to fix. So this shape is kind of strange. It goes like around and then down and then that. And we want to try and get that shape. So it goes down, around, and it goes down here. And it goes all the way down to his leg. And pull that into the white. And we'll come back with the white again and blend this out a little bit more. And again with the cold gray too, as well. But we want to put a couple little feathers going into that white. Actually, I think that'll be okay. We just got to fill it in. Blend this a little bit better. Grabbing the Payne's Gray again. I'm gonna blend it out a little bit better. I get so much pencil dust on my paper when I'm working because I've worked with very sharp pencils and they crumble a little bit sometimes. It's like, I just always stop myself from brushing it because I grew up brushing it with my hand until I learned the trick about the makeup brush. All right, cool. That's looking pretty good. I still need to blend it a little bit more, I think. So we're going to use the cold gray 4. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my kneaded eraser and I'm going to pick up a little bit of that Payne's Gray. So this is a trick that I use a lot when I can't get a good blend on something or I'm just having trouble with it. I'm going to go along the edge with my kneaded eraser and just, again, dab, 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 and pull up some of that pigment of the Payne's Gray to help make more of a gradiated, transition. So I don't know if you can even see it very well on the camera, unfortunately, but when I dab, I'm pushing pretty hard. So that I'm grabbing that pigment. Like you can see my eraser's getting kind of dark on the end from pulling it up. But just go along the whole edge. And now you can go back in with the color that's your lighter color. And that gives you a little bit more room on the tooth of the paper to shade it out. Because it's pulled some of the pigment off. And that's one of the big tricks for actually getting good layering on drafting film, is doing that trick. Because it helps you blend, helps you blend. Like there's nothing beyond that. It's one of the best tricks I've ever learned, is to do that. So, we'll get this done, and then we'll take a break here in just a second, and then we'll finish him up. We're almost done. And we may not get to the branch, but we'll definitely get him finished before 3. So, alright. I'm gonna call that okay. Yeah, that looks good to me. A little bit more gray in here. We've got to do this top bit. So I'm gonna put this gray in here. And that needs to be blended. Okay. We will take our break now. I'll be back in, let's say it's 2:10. We'll be back at 2:15. And we will carry on then. So be back in 5 minutes. Okay, we're back. Took an extra minute. Hope no one minds. Okay, hang on. This is the wrong one. Oh, no, it's not. There we go. Ooh, good break. Had a good stretch. All right, so now we're going to work on the rest of his wing. No, we need to finish up his chest. We had to take a break right in the middle of his chest. Make sure where we're at. Yeah, we got to do this top bit. So grab your, I want to do cool gray 1. Grab your cold gray 1, which is 230. We're going to use that for his chest. And we're just going to lay that in there. Leave a little room for a highlight. We're going to put some white on it. So start bringing that down. Down to where that white is. This is good. We're going to have a nice little transition between the gray and the white. So we're going to be blending a lot to get this to work. Just bring this down all the way, just like that, and blend your edges in here. And again, if you can't get a good blend, remember you can take your kneaded eraser and dab that out. Just give it a little dab on the spot that's giving you trouble, and then go back in. And it should just blend right on out. Now I'm going to grab my indigo, and we're going to make this this little bit under here more substantial. Just gonna give it a little bit more fluff and grab my black. Go over that. And it's okay to have a couple little feathers, kind of flyaway feathers. If you want to make those, that helps give it a little tiny bit of detail. Just go up into it, pull it down, and pick it out just like that. Very simple. And that tiny little bit of like one line is all you need sometimes, like there or here. Like one little line will make a whole lot of difference in your texture. And I'm just doing a little bit of black around to support what I've done. And it's a little line there. And there. Okay. And that's touched up. This is a little bit darker than I initially anticipated, so I'm going to bring this black down here as well. Okay, I'm gonna get the cold gray 2. And I'm gonna push up into that black. And I might not be able to get very many little detailed textures on that, but whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. And I'm gonna take that cool gray again. I've left the spot for the white and just layer in the cool gray though onto the Payne's gray that we put down. Okay, now I'm gonna grab my white and really get this highlight going on here. And just chucking the white in there. Not really using a super hard pressure, but a firm pressure. I'd say a 2 or a 3 on the 5-point scale. we're using here. And the other thing to keep in mind is we're not doing straight lines, we're doing those curved lines because this is a curved surface. Even here, it's more curved than it is flat. So try and have a little bit of shape to your lines. And that will help give a lot of form to your drawing. As if you just put that little bit of shape in there. Just like that. We're just going to layer that white over everything we've got here. We're going to take it all the way down. Mix it into the Payne's Gray. We're going to mix it into this Payne's Gray over here too. And the cold gray too that we put down. We're just going to blend everything in. We want full coverage with this white. That's why I'm keeping my black paper under here. It's just so I can really see what I'm doing. It's very helpful. And just pull, 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 pull. Really want to just give him that good fluffy tummy texture. Okay. Now we've left out a little spot here, which we're going to use the cold gray, where'd it go? Goodness, where'd it go? There it is, the cold gray 4. We're going to come in here for these little bits we marked out a minute ago. And I'm only doing a little tiny bit on the bottom, I think, of these feathers. We want these to have a little bit higher detail than some of the other bits here. We want that to be a little bit of a focal point. So I've just put like the tiniest line of the cold gray 4 on there, and then I'm going to come in with the white, and I'm going to line the top of those feathers. And I know that's not quite like the reference, but we're using our artistic license here, giving him just a little bit of lightness on that. Just like that. And then we can go back in with the cool gray and take that white down. The cool gray 2. So I'm taking my cool gray 2 and going over the whole little feathers that we've stuck out here. And just blending them down, taking those highlights down a little bit. Just a little bit. And actually what I want to do now is get my slice tool out. And I'm going to make a couple little, sorry I keep hitting the camera. I'm going to get a couple little flyaways coming out of here. So he's got a couple extra little feathers. And that's not really what the reference has, but that's what I want him to have. So he's going to have them. And then I'm going to take my white. And I'm going to go back and fill that in as best I can. And like we talked about before, the slice tool does indent the paper, so you can't always fill it in, but sometimes you can. But that's what I'm doing, is just seeing if I can. And I think that's okay. So I'm going to take my white now, and I'm going to go back where we were going over all of this. Now I'm doing pretty hard pressure. I really want that white to stand out up here. Like, really getting in there and showing it off. Okay. Down here. Now he's got a nice little chest. So let's finish up the wing. And he'll get his little leggies, and we're almost done. So we've got 30 minutes left. So hopefully we can get this done. Let's move on. And for his wing, we're going to do cobalt turquoise. That is the main. And we're going to also probably need our phthalo blue. So grab your cobalt turquoise. And let's get rolling. So to start with, we're going to start, where are we going to start? Over here. There's this long feather that comes down. And it's very dark at the base, but at the end it's very blue. And this is more of a greenish blue that I'm using here, but you'll see what we're gonna do here in a second. I like using the greens on birds like this because it gives a little bit more depth to the feathers. So I'm just lightly putting this cobalt turquoise in. And I'm not going all the way up. I'm just, because there's going to be black up here. Not black, but a darker color, probably indigo is what we'll use. But just taking it most of the way up. And then I'm going to grab my Edanthrine blue, which is 247. I don't think we've used that one yet on this piece. And I'm going to use that and very lightly go over that cobalt turquoise and fill those feathers out. And that gives it just a little bit more depth because it's got that green under there. And we're going to take this color all the way to the base, the Edanthrine. And you can see how different it looks by itself. Okay. And from there, we're going to grab our dark indigo. If I can find mine. It's disappeared again. There it is. And we're going to first differentiate those two feathers from each other with a little line. Because there is quite a dark line between those two feathers. And then we're going to, from the base here, we're going to go around the top and down. And then blend, really gently blend this out. And make sure that this, where the white meets, we do have a solid line, but the feather itself can be a bit softer. And while I've got the dark indigo, I'm going to go ahead and shade out some of the top of the feathers. I'm just looking at my bigger reference on my screen here. We need, so I got the indigo. We need, what did I just use? Cobalt turquoise, yeah. I think we'll do this whole wing with cobalt turquoise and the Edanthrine. I think that's going to be our go. So what we're going to do first is we're going to lay in the dark slashes that are on the wings, so we don't have to look for them later. So make sure your dark indigo is really sharp, because that's going to be a big help. And then just where he's got these little stripes, mark out the stripes. And there's no special trick to this, just draw them in. And I'm just really lightly dabbing them in. And once we get this in, we can take the line work away and just kind of have fun on this. We just want to make sure everything's in the right spot. And I'm going to go ahead and do the little dark bits down here too. And these are literally just dots almost at this juncture in the picture. Like you can see, they're just teensy tiny little dots. I'm going to get the white too out of the way, which is these little bands. And I'm going to need my cool gray too as well, because there needs to be some, actually no, let's not use cool gray too. Let's use sky blue as our shading color. So I'm going to find where each of these feathers meet, and I'm going to do a little line of the sky blue just to show the border of each feather. And then I'll go back and go over it all with the white. So let's just, oh, and I break the tip off. Good job. Okay, it's fine. Still sharp. Just do. Outlining each feather. Just like that. Now I'm going to take my white. And I'm going to fill those in. And really pull that blue, if you can, into the little... I know it's difficult because it's such a tiny space. But go over the blue at least, so that it's blending into the white as best as you can. It's such a tiny detail. It's going to be maybe hard to truly get it to blend. But I think it'll look okay. But from there, the only thing we need to mark out is the lines here, and then we can take the line work away. So grab your dark indigo again. And we're gonna, let's see, it's got a dark spot. Looking at this. Like right here. These are really dark. So we're going to do the individual lines of these wings. So it's about to get really, 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 really detailed. So just hold on to yourself, and we'll get this sharp pencil going. And we'll start, I guess, here. And just draw each line. We're doing the same thing as we did on the tail. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be straight. Just draw them in. Just a couple of little lines on the bottom of the wing, and I've already made mine not straight. Well, not straight isn't quite the right word. I made mine not as it needs to be. Okay, and then we can actually do the lines. Each wing, or each feather. God, imagine if this was a bird with like 1,000 wings. It'd take me forever. These wings are the hardest part. Okay, we're getting our lines done. And up here, this top feather has a really dark line under it. So we want to give that one some breathing room. And this one actually points out in a dark point. And that's going to be white behind it. We can go ahead and put the white in there, because that's just solid white. So just fill that little back feather. That's a feather from his other wing that we're seeing there. And the light's just hitting it so that it's bright white. Make sure you go around that little protrusion that we did. Otherwise, it's going to smear the blue into the white. Okay. I'm going to put my sheet behind it. I'm not going to use the black. I'm going to use the white, since that's what most people will have on hand. So you can see our little bird's coming along. He's looking pretty good. Let me make the reference a little smaller. I think at this point we got it. There we go. He's looking pretty good. All right then. We're going to use that, what was it? Cobalt turquoise. That's it. 153. And we're going to go in here and we're going to outline each wing, each feather. We're going to color it in individually. Really gently, really slow. Just color those feathers in. One at a time. Because we want this to be nice and smooth. We're not doing individual feather strokes now. This needs to be a solid, I don't do it one at a time. We can just block it in. But it still needs to be very solid and very smooth, because these feathers are, they don't have plush bits on them. I'm using like a circular, like instead of doing the like more flicky, I'm doing, like, this is an exaggeration, but I'm doing like that kind of motion, but very small. So like that. That's what I'm doing to color. So just blending it in. Going along the edge of his feathers. All the way up to here. Make sure you get all the way up to where we put this white. And if it's a little patchy, it's okay, because we're going to be going back over it with the Adanthrin blue to get that rich blue. Oh, this dang paper. Okay, we're going to do the same thing down here, but there's some highlights, so we're going to only address these feathers that have the lines, and we're just going to just very lightly lay in a little bit of this color on top of those lines. And here we don't want to do circles. We want to go with the direction of the feathers, because we don't want to smear these lines too much. So just fill each little blank place. Place. Goodness, I've talked so much I can't talk. Fill each blank section in here with this cobalt turquoise. And just really lightly. And bring it up onto this next little section of feathers. And then we're going to fade it out about there. About right there. Just let it drift off. There. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and grab the sky blue. We're gonna do. No, let's do ultramarine, light ultramarine, and we're gonna take that on this second feather down, and we're just gonna only put it there. Maybe pull it down to the third feather down, because we're gonna make a little bit of a gradient here on these feathers. And then we're gonna take the sky blue, and we're gonna put it on the bottom part of this top feather, so that the top feather has a white line on it at the very top. Then take your white and put it on the very top of that white line where the light's hitting it. And then take the white while you've got it and just pull it down into all this and blend it a little bit. Just give it that little oomph. I'm going to take my indigo now because I've messed up this. I went into where the tail is, so I'm going to fix that real quick. And I'm going to have to get my, what did I use on the tail? I don't remember. This one. And obviously you don't need to do what I'm doing right now unless you've done the same thing. Just touch it up a little tiny bit. There we go. There. So you can see how there's a white highlight. That's what you need to have. Okay. So from here we're going to take our Adanthiran blue and we're going to put it on top of all of this mess. Let's find the Adanthiran blue. So here it is, Adanthiran. Okay. So again, we're just really lightly, very, very lightly going to take this and just cover all of this cobalt that we put down. We want to shift that color from green to blue, basically. We're just putting just enough pigment on it that it doesn't look green anymore. But it's still got that green in there. So we're just really gently laying it in. And you may find that you don't need to put much at all. You may have been so light-handed with your cobalt that you don't need to go over it more than once. I'm going to need to go over mine a couple of times. At least there. This one, we'll see what the top looks like. And I'm doing the circular motion still. Circular, circular, circular. Just blending it out. And right here, where the feathers from the top blend down into the back, we're going to take this sky blue. Yeah. And just kind of blend that together a little bit. There's not really a definitive transition line between those feathers and the back feathers that we can see in our reference. So we just want to blend that down with the sky blue. And if you need to take it up onto his back a little bit, you can. That's fine. And just take that sky blue. And if you've got any little gaps or anything, just hit it with the sky blue. And it'll help really clean up the application of your pencils. There you go. Perfect. All right, let's do his leggies and we're done. So, let's have a look at his legs. Let me double check everything here. Yep, that's look good. We need to put more white in these little bands. I did not put enough white in these little bands. So, check yours. Touch up anything that needs a touch up. Like, my little bands need a touch up. I'll just block that in. And then I'm going to actually grab my Cool Gray 4 and give these feathers a little bit more differentiation on where the white bands are. Just because they're blending together a little bit and I don't like it. I think they need a little bit more room to breathe for each of them. There, that looks good. Now they look like individual feathers. Cool. All right. So now the white gets to shine because we're going to be doing a lot of white on this leg. So just start putting your white in. It goes to about right here. That's where I'm going to stop the white. There's like a little, on the line arc, there's a little line that goes down. That's kind of where we're stopping with the white. And we're not putting it in heavy. We're just getting it in because we're going to put some cool gray on top of this in some places. But we definitely want this to be a good bright highlight. I'll just work it in. Okay. Now grab your Cool Gray 2. And I'm going to take my Cool Gray 2 and go ahead and pull this all the way back from his bottom. That way the shadow is a little more clear. Alright, I missed a spot, so I'm going to take my Cool Gray 2 and just fill in the spots that I've missed. Actually, no, I'm going to take my Payne's Gray here because this wing needs some more differentiation. Let's grab our Payne's Gray. And along the bottom of this, very lightly, we're just going to do a small line where the wing touches the gray. Oh, that might be a little too dark, but it's okay. It's okay. We're going to take our Cool Gray 4 now, and we're going to blend that out. And that might have been a little too dark. We just put a tiny bit on it, so it's okay. We're just blending with our Cool Gray 4. Actually, I've got Cool Gray 2. I lied. I've got Cool Gray 2 in my hand right now. That's what I'm blending with. Just circle, 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 circle. Blending it out. And go ahead and blend some of this out too. Get that white connected. A lot of this is just making the shapes and then connecting them. That's really the trick to doing good color pencil art of any kind, is making the shapes that you see and following the shapes. At least that's been my experience, is work with it, work it as much as you can, then go back when you see something. Like I'm just touching up a couple little places here and there. Yeah. All right, that's his little back leg done. Now I just need to do his actual legs, I think, and we'll be good to go. So let's grab our black. Actually, no, let's grab our paints gray. And we need to grab our, I think we have our warm gray. Oh, this is 5-6. Warm gray 6. I think that would be pretty good on this. So I'm going to just really lightly, actually no, I'm going to use the Payne's Gray. Let's just stick with what we've been using. Let's do Payne's Gray. We're going to outline the back of his leg. We're going to go straight down the leg. Straight down the leg. And then we're going to go straight down the other side of the leg. Just there. And then we're going to really gently color it in. And we're going to use our slice tool to pick out the light. But if you want to leave a gap for where the light is, that's perfectly acceptable too. I'm going to do that, and then I'll fill it in and slice it. So now I've got a little gap there you can see. And now I'm going to get... I need a medium gray. Oh, I do have my cold gray 4. We'll use that. Cold gray 4. So I'm going to take the cold gray 4. I'm going to pull it through the highlight I just left. And down into this lighter part where his foot gets lighter. And just start filling it in. And then there's a little light part right here on that toe that's going back. And then this front toe is very light. So we're going to outline that a little bit. And I kind of outline all the toes with this gray. A little bit. Okay. I'm going to grab the Payne's Gray again. And I'm going to do his nail on this foot, which is just a little curve. And that has a shadow of his toe that goes around the bottom. So this is very, very, very precise, delicate work to get in here and get this little foot shaded. He's got such a tiny little foot. Okay, that's that toe done. So then the next one, we're going to do the nail. And I'm still using Payne's Gray here. And then I'm going to do the shadow. And then how it goes up around that one. And then I'm going to grab my Cool Gray 4. And I'm going to do the rest of the toe. And I'm blending that Payne's Gray at the same time. Just blending, blending, blending. All the way up. All the way up. And again, I grab my Payne's Gray. So his nail is on this foot isn't that dark, so I'm very lightly going to shade it in. And then grab my Gray 4, Cold Gray 4. And that's going to be the color that I use for the nail and the rest of that toe. And I'm going to leave a little highlight on the top of the toe. And I'm going to put my Cold Gray 2 in it. Right there. And then I'm going to blend that Cold Gray 2 out. And then grab my Payne's Gray again for a second, because there's a little dark spot on the back of his foot here, grabbing the branch that we didn't get. And just dab that in a little bit. And he's got some little, like, scales on his leg, so we can draw those in. Some little, like, almost like little bands of scaly flesh. So, just draw him some little stripes. Okay, that's foot number 1 done, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, it looks like a foot. We got to connect it still, but we got a good little foot there. Let's do the other foot, and then we'll get it connected, and we're done. Uh, all right. So this foot's all in shadow. So we're just gonna Payne's gray and draw the whole foot out. Just fill it in. Really, just draw it as you would. Draw his little nails. Don't forget those. There is a little bit of a highlight on the top. So I'm going to leave a little bit of highlight, but a lot of this is just in deep shadow. So just outline your shadow. And really get up there next to his body. Pull it in. And then I'm going to grab my Cold Gray 4, and that's going to be my color for the rest of this foot. And I'm going to grab the Paynes and blend it just a tiny, tiny bit. I'm just shaping it a little bit because it's not quite right. There we go. All right. The toe is weird. We got a weird middle toe. I'll call that good. All right, so we're going to do this little connecty bit. So I'm going to grab my Cool Gray 4. And we're just going to draw these feathers coming down from the shadow. And they curve along his leg. And this is where he has some fluff on his bottom. So we're going to take this Cold Gray 4 and we're just going to flick it out the same way we did with his little beard. Just flick out some little feathers here. Let him have some fluff. Don't be afraid to go a little crazy. This is the fun part. I love doing fluff. And I'm going to actually grab my Cool Gray 2 and put some Cool Gray 2 fluff in here too. Just so it's a little softer. And then fill that in. Make sure it's connected. Let me check it. Let's fill in anywhere we've missed. And I think that's it. I don't think we're going to get to the branch today, unfortunately, but we got the bird done. So I'm pretty positive about that. I'm glad we did it, and I'm glad we got it done. I didn't have any questions, I don't think, but the feathers from his back wing. No, oh, you're right. I missed one. Thank you. I think I did miss one. These little feathers right here. So I'm grabbing the Cool Gray 4, and I'm gonna dab those in. These little feathers right here. Yes. And then I'm going to grab my Cool Gray 2 and do the bottom feather. That's such a tiny little detail. I almost missed them. And let's go ahead and draw the branch. That way he's not floating in space. I'm just going to keep going because I don't care. Whatever. We'll finish this. So let's see. I'm going to do Cold Gray 2 and just outline this branch. And I'm not really being particularly careful with the outline. Yeah, I expect the branch won't take me more than 15-20 minutes, so we'll just carry on. I don't have anything else to do, so if you need to go, you can always come back and watch the VOD, the replay. I don't know what they call it on YouTube, but it'll be here. So, all right, get that. Let's see the highlights. Um, There's some highlights here. I'm still just using the cold gray too, and I'm just gonna really not scribble. That's not the right word, but I'm just getting that getting the colors in, getting the shading in. Um, and there's like a little bit of light here. And then this whole backside's light. It's almost pinkish. I think that's why I had that purple in here, was for this branch. I'm just coloring the branch in, honestly, up here at the top, because we're going to do some layers over it. I'm going to put my, put this in here. And kind of see where I'm going with it. And then I'm going to take I'm going to do warm grays on this branch, actually. I shouldn't have did all that in cool gray. Should have did it in warm gray. So I'm going to grab my warm gray 5. That's why I had all these warm grays, for the branch. Warm gray 5. And we're going to do the back shadow. And we're just really getting it in there. It doesn't have to be very clean. It's natural things like the wood are very chaotic and random. So it's, just have fun. But remember that there is still form to it, that there is still, it does still obey the laws of like shape and everything. You just have to, once you get the foundation in, you can play with it and have a lot of fun just making it your own. A little bit there. And then this here behind him is going to be this gray. No, that needs to be lighter. Needs to be warm gray 2. I need to do an erase. I need to do an erase. Where's my eraser? Tombow, please. You're not the right one. Where's my good Tombow? Good Tombow, where did you go? I have a good one and I have a bad one that the eraser's gone a little hard in. And I don't like the bad one. This is the good one. Okay. Give him a good defined chest. I need darker. We need darker. Warm gray, blah, 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 blah. How about warm gray 6? No, 4. Warm gray 4. Warm gray 4. Right here. And I'm leaving like a little bit of a highlight around his foot. Not really a highlight, but just not pressing as hard. I want to give his foot the dominance, I guess, on the branch. Just want it to really rest there. I'm going to make that shadow even darker around it. Because we used Payne's gray instead of black, it'll be really easy to get a good dark shadow there with our black. So then we're going to go in with the black and go under the foot. And just sweep this in. Under his little foot. And then just sweep it out. And you just use the lightest pressure you possibly can. As we're just fading it out. And then we're going to use warm gray 4 again. And we're going to go back in there and just really lightly shade into the black, blend it in. Now this is where I'm going to use my kneaded eraser and fix this edge because I've gone way too hard with this black. Just going to dab the edge of the black so that it has a better gradient. See how that lifts all that up and suddenly it's just smooth. Love that. Okay, we're going to get a little different here. I'm going to grab the Magnavese Violet that I had on the materials list. We're going to go in with that and do a little bit of pink on this branch. So I'm just going to go in here really very lightly. We're just giving it a touch of color. I just want it to have some color in it. We're going to do the same thing up here, where there's just a little bit of color. We're not doing big blocks, we're just doing little touch details, because we're going to go over it a lot and blend it down. It's giving a little bit more visual interest to this branch. And then maybe some down here by his foot. Okay, and I did too dark on that one too. So I'm going to lift some of that. Okay. Now, let's grab our nougat, which is 178. Nice brown. And we're going to go over these grays with a nice circular motion. Let's go over everything here. And just pull them in. And you can go a little bit darker here and there to give some visual interest. You can see what I just did there, where I pressed a little bit harder. Make a little dark spot, because we want some random variation on this branch. And I think we're going to use this as our primary color for the branch, now that we've got some little shading and highlights in. Actually, I might use some walnut brown. Do I have that pulled out still? Or sepia? Got sepia. Thought I had walnut brown pulled out. Is that this? Yeah, 177 walnut brown. I'm going to use that as well. Just a little bit of darker shading. And that will go really nice with the Magnemese violet that we put in, because these particular browns have some really nice purple in them. We're just getting that shadow. Hit that shadow right there. And then we're doing the shadow on the back of the branch, and we're doing it with the walnut brown. And you can see I'm just doing a little tiny fill-in pattern here to block in where the shadow's going. Just filling it in a little bit at a time. Okay. Once you start getting a couple little layers, and it starts really coming around. And a little bit up here. Into that nougat. I'll do a little bit around his front. I'm going to grab the sepia. Put a little bit of shading in. Should have just started with these browns. The grays aren't really doing much under all this. All right, going back to the walnut brown. Just filling it in. There's like a little stick there that comes off. Just nice and smooth, filling in. And where you hit where this gray was, it'll smooth out a lot better. You should have light gray up here where the highlight is. So just very lightly touch that and then pull it down. We're almost finished. This bird's looking really good though. We'll take a minute once we've got this branch done to have a once over on the bird, because we've got a couple more little tricks to look at that I want to show. But I do want to get this branch done. I'm really just filling this branch in with this brown. I'm not being very particular, because we're going to blend it all out. Okay, I'm going to grab my nougat again, and I'm going to basically do the same thing, but only in certain spots. Just where it needs a good blending, I'm going to go in with this and just really smooth it. Smooth it, smooth it, smooth it. And this will help give that branch kind of a two-tone feel. Work around his little feet. Work around the shadows. Pull out the shadows. You can see it blends together once you get a couple layers on there. How nice that looks. Yeah, I don't like how muddy this little transition here is. We're going to do a little work on the back, just to darken up this where the branch is, so that the dang it, I've made a mess here. Where's my good eraser? There it is. There we go. Get that branch straight. Sorry, there's not a whole lot to say about what I'm doing. It's just filling it in. This is the kind of boring bit. All right. Let's take the walnut brown again. Let's do another layer of that up here where it's a little thin. Anywhere you've got the pencil looks thin, just grab one of your colors that you've been using and just do another layer. You don't have to be the walnut brown. You can do the nougat again, or even if you wanted to take like the violet in again and just hit it a couple times. And anything will look nice. You're just lightly layering another layer on. Just filling it in until it doesn't look patchy. His little branch. Wish it had some, like, I don't know. It's kind of a boring branch. Maybe we should give it some moss or something. Switching into the nougat. I'll put some of that down here. I'm going to grab the violet and just put some little more hints in. Just to give it a little bit of visual interest. We don't want to detract from the bird too much. I'm going to grab my sepia. I'm going to do some shading. I'm doing kind of chunky shading on this, but still trying to conform to the shape of the branch. Like picking out where this little stem's coming out. See, that's not looking so good. Let's use our warm gray 6. Warm gray 6. I think that'll be a better shadow color. I'm just going to go over where I just did the sepia because I'm not liking how that looked. Just really darkening that whole side of this branch. And then fading it up. This again, you can do little bits to give it visual interest. The little bops, little squiggles, whatever you prefer. making it a little bit darker behind him, even though that's not really like that in the reference. I want to make sure that he stands out without putting an actual white line around him. It's looking like a branch. Okay, I'm gonna ditch our line work. I don't think we need it anymore. And I don't think we need a reference anymore either. So we just got our picture. Okay, so what we're going to do next, we're pretty much done. We've got a little bit of touch-ups to do. I'm going to take my cold gray, what is this? 4. And where we've got these, I'm turning it a little bit just to reach it better. Where we've got these white feathers, I'm just going to very lightly outline the bottom of them, so that they're easier to see on the mat we're using. Just very lightly, like outlining them almost. And I'm going to do the same thing here with this one, just giving it the slightest touch of an outline, just so people can see that it's there. And I think I went too heavy-handed on this one up here, so I'm going to dab it a little bit. I keep hitting my dang camera. I'm not used to the headset that I'm wearing. It's a little bit bigger than the one that I'm used to, so I'm sorry about that. Let's see. From here, we're gonna go with a black. And we're gonna really get in here and darken up some of this black. Especially his little eye. We did not go dark enough with this little eye. And then we're gonna gently, don't go too dark in the eye. I'm just darkening the area around his eye. And he's got like a little triangle-y bit on each side. That's like his, like the eye socket, I guess. And then just pull those feathers out. Now I'm going to show you the trick to why we use this. It's double-sided. And if you turn it over, you can see we've got our picture in reverse. And to get more layers, once it stops taking layers on the front, you can go to the back and really darken it up. So here I'm going to take the black and I'm going to outline where I want it to be really dark. So I'm taking all of this area, I want it to be really dark. And I'm not coloring it all in, I'm just doing the same as I did on the front, really. Just dabbing some texture in. That's what I'm doing, is making texture. I want this area of his beak to be dark. I'm going to actually draw his little whiskers that we made. I want those to be dark. I want the bottom of his beak to be really dark. Let's look at that. So, I don't know if you can see the difference. It really does make a difference. We need to do something about this transition here. I need to make him more Haynes gray, I think, on this chest. Where's my Payne's Gray? Is that it? No, that's sepia. Around here somewhere. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to take my Payne's Gray and just do the same thing. Just darkening a little bit. But be careful about your edges because it will be obvious if you leave hard edges on the back. And we're playing into that a little bit by using it to define the edge of this bird's chest. But we want to smooth it out into the actual gradation there. I think I'm going to make this a little bit lighter around him. It's just not meshing with me very well. So I'm going to pull some of this pigment off. And I'm not touching him, I'm just getting the branch. Just giving it a little highlight. And this is where you got to really wiggle your eraser. I'd be better off using the Tombow here. Hard to get precision with a kneaded eraser. Alright, so I'm going to take my warm gray 3 and fill this in. So it's still warm gray, it's just going to be a little bit lighter. There, that looks better. It gives it a little bit more definition. Where else needs to be hit? I put it on black. We need to do a little bit more white. We're going to do white on the back, though, because we've got, this is all gray. So we're going to turn him over. And again, I'm just going to take the white, and I'm just going to block in where I want it. So I'm making sure I don't go out of his outline, but where I want that white to be really bold. Make sure I don't miss out anywhere. And it's okay if you go over like the gray or whatever, because that's just going to give the gray a stronger foundation, having that white behind it. So on this chest, I'm not going to be too particular about if it's the cool gray or the whatever, but I am missing out where the Payne's Gray is here. I'll then blend this in where we did. Just blend, blend, blend. And just so it all looks right, I'm going to do the same thing up here on this white. Just give it a little oomph. Okay, let's see. Let's see if that did anything. I think it did. I think it did a lot. Yeah, I think it's done. Maybe. Give it a little foundation here. Or these highlights come on the wings. Make sure they're nice and bright. That bit up his chest. Yeah, he's done. So, there you go. That's a bird in 3.5 hours. I hope you had a great time if you came and hung out with me. I hope your bird looks friggin' awesome. I would love to see it. I am starting a Facebook group. I will put a link to it on the screen. Well, I can't do it right now, but I will put a link to it in the replay. There will be a link on the screen, like here somewhere. Remember here. And I would love for you to join and come hang out with me. And if you did enjoy this class, I have a class next weekend that is to draw a fuzzy cat. Give me just a second. I can show you the fuzzy cat. And it is going to be a great workshop. And there are sign-ups on my website. Here is the cat we're drawing. You can come draw him with us. Isn't he cute? We're going to be drawing all this fluffy fur. It's a 2-day workshop. You should come do it. It's price of tickets start at $60, and there are plenty of seats left. We'd love to have you. It's from 3 p.m. 2 hours a day, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 hours a day on Friday and Saturday. I'm sorry, on Saturday and Sunday next week. So please come if you want to. Would love to have you. I'd love to draw with you. I hope you had a great time. But yeah, join my Facebook group that's linked in the description or wherever I've linked it. I'll figure it out. Still working on organization a little bit. So sorry, everything was a little sketchy at the beginning and all that. Please follow me here on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll put all my links in my description. I love to interact with you. Please share your work with me. I would love to see it. And that's about all I've got. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And